My name is David O'Keefe and I came to 180TC on the 20th of May this year.
What was your life like before 180TC?
So I came directly from incarceration. My life before that was an absolute mess. I had lost my children and lost everything that was basically important to me. I was pretty deep in all kinds of addiction. And just doing things that I shouldn't have been doing to get by. It was a mess. It was a complete mess.
What led you to 180TC?
A few different things. I was lucky enough to have a family member that completed this program, and I'm sure you all know who he is, and done very well. And he was a bit of an inspiration for me to come. When he actually graduated, I thought I was going to ask him if I could sign up then and there, but I was too busy with business and other things, and just wasn't ready to sort of take that step yet. But I always knew that I needed to. There's a lot of things in my life that I hadn't dealt with properly. You come into a place like this would help, considering what it had done for people that I really cared about.
What's been the biggest challenge?
Oh, wow. Being open and honest about my feelings and how things have affected me. I've always been a very proud person. I've always tried to brush it off like, oh, it's nothing. But honestly, there was a lot of things under the surface that were really hurting. And saying them in a public setting and also admitting them with a psychologist was very scary. I'd much rather go and fight a rhinoceros than do that. But that was definitely the biggest challenge for me. And being away from my children. I was already away from them for a while, but it's still been very hard. It's always in the back of my mind. But I do know that by completing this program, I will be able to get back to them eventually, give them a much better experience than they've had in the past.
What have the highlights been at 180?
The highlights, there's been many highlights. There was an art class that I did the first week I was here, and that sort of opened up my eyes to things that I was actually capable of. There's been many great people here. There's too many to name, but I'll give it a crack. Definitely Julian, Conrad, Dwayne, Dan, a couple of other guys that have graduated. There's a lot of other ones. I can't mention everybody's name. Cooley's always been interesting human being to have around. Everybody's been really supportive. A lot of the staff have been amazing too. Arnie's my caseworker. He's been really good. He doesn't say much, but he doesn't need to. He just sort of whatever he says, you just listen to. Dan Harris has been a big impact as well. Had a lot of really tough moments, and he's often been there in those moments.
What were your first impressions like at 180?
I actually used to come here as a kid. This place used to be called Grace Lodge before it was 180TC, so I kind of knew the area and the place pretty well. I had a good impression, let's just say that. I knew this was a good place to come because I knew the surroundings. It's much smaller than I remember because I was a child when I came here, so everything kind of scales down. But yeah, I had a really good impression, and it was much better than where the place that I was in was a pretty horrible place. I don't recommend anybody ever go to jail, just because it brings out the worst in people all the times, and I'd hope that this place would bring out the best in me, which it definitely has done.
What's life going to be like after 180?
So I'm sticking around. I'm going to do the grad program for at least the next 6 months. I'd love to stay on for longer than that. I really admire this community. I admire the people in it. I admire the strength that a lot of these men and women have done have had to use to get to where they are. It's going to look a lot better. It's going to look obviously sober. I don't ever plan to pick up another drink or drug ever again. I couldn't possibly think of anything worse. Just enjoying life for what it actually is, rebuilding the relationships that I've destroyed over this period of time, which is many, and just staying close to this community, everybody within it, and just being happy for once, which I really have never been, probably in my entire adult life.
What has 180 taught you about yourself?
A lot of different things. Probably more that I actually am strong enough to deal with issues that I've had in my life. I always thought that they just never affected me, or like I used to act like that, but in reality they affected me a lot, and I just pushed them aside and just always thought that I'd never really deal with them. I never really pictured myself not drinking or smoking. Always kind of thought it'd be in the background somewhere, but now I know it's definitely not going to be. I'm going to be going to the Rock Church and keeping really close ties with that community as well. I've built a lot of good friendships there. It's been a really good place to go, and yeah, just living life without the stress of either going to jail or getting hurt, and just all those kind of things just out of my life. So I'm just really excited for the next chapter and living in a much better way than I have been.
Was there anyone that you wanted to ask forgiveness for or seek repentance?
Sorry if I break down when I say this, but my children, I've got 4 girls and 2 stepsons that I'd love to ask forgiveness for. Sorry. Just for I did a lot of good things as a dad, but I did a lot of bad things as well. I was always angry, and I forgot to have a lot of fun. I just was always worried about how they'd turn out if I wasn't so disciplined. My mother and father and my brother as well, I put them through a lot. And, they just don't deserve. I had a really good walk with my mother on the weekend. And it was really cool. Halfway through it, I kind of just looked over and I was like, wow, I've got a cool mum. Like, she's just a really amazing person, and I've always taken her for granted. They taught me to love unconditionally, and to just, always give people a chance, no matter who they are. My brother, I haven't always been the best brother to him, like, been a bit horrible from time to time, but he's always been the one to tell me the truth, no matter what the consequences were. There's probably a lot of other people, but they're the main ones, definitely.
Any other final encouragements?
My final encouragement is pretty simple. Like, just a lot of people get in this program and think they do 2 weeks or a month and they think they're cured. You just stay for as long as you possibly can, because you just never know what the next day might look like. And there's been so many days here where I've just wanted to tap out and leave and just go and do what I used to do before, because it was just so much easier. Even go back to jail, because again, that was actually reasonably easy once you get comfortable in there. But my final encouragement would be that, like, if you're going to come here, just rip in as much as you can. Don't sit here and wonder, can I not share this? Can I not share this? Try and get everything out in one whole session, in one whole time while you're here. Maybe you won't be able to get it all out, but you can get a lot of it out and really start to open your eyes to what's possible out there, because you don't have to live in pain. Like, all of us are in pain in some way, shape or form, and it's not the way we have to live. My final encouragement would be to take this for what it is. Like, rehabilitation is supposed to be rehabilitating yourself in every way, shape or form. And if you can find it in your heart to trust God and trust, and open your arms to the people around you, amazing things can happen. And that's my final encouragement.